Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek Podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me are co-hosts Maureen and Al.
Hello.
And also joining us today is a very special guest. We have actress Christina Wren, who is best known for playing Carrie Ferris in Man of Steel, and will be reprising the role in Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. So how are you today, Christina?
Hey, I'm great. How
We're
are you
doing
guys?
very well, thanks. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the podcast.
Oh, well, thanks for including me. I'm excited
That's
about
great.
it.
So getting right into the questions, Christina, my first question for you is, how did you decide you wanted to become an actress?
It was kind of organic. I started doing children's theater when I was 8, and was just something I always loved doing growing up, but I never thought of it as a career option. It was just a fun thing I did that I spent pretty much all of my time in. And when I was applying for colleges, I was considering minoring in theater and in performance. And my major kept changing, what I thought I would major in, and then I considered maybe I would double major, and again, my idea of what the other option would be kept changing, and finally, I'm incredibly lucky to have really supportive parents, and my mom came in to my room one night when I was working on applications, and she said, you know, this is your decision, it's your life, you need to do what's right for you, but I think you have a talent and you shouldn't bury your talents. And if you want to study performance and acting, you know, your father and I are behind you 100%. So I thought about it and realized that that was really the only thing I wanted to do. And decided to pursue it, but was pretty horrified at first just because it is an impractical thing. And while my parents were supportive, all of my teachers, you know, were saying, don't do that, try something else, you know, you're a smart girl, you could be doing so many other things. And so it's a little scary, but I'm so glad that I took that leap. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. So
That's great, definitely. It's a very great story. I mean, it's always great, of course, when parents support what you do. It's just very useful. It's always a good thing. So, getting right into my second question, how did you get cast as Carrie Ferris in Man of Steel?
It's a super crazy story. I was making my first indie film that I had written and was producing, and the guy that was cast opposite me worked at a commercial casting office in New York, and they were having trouble finding a girl for this hummus commercial. And the casting director asked him if he knew anyone, and he said, yeah, actually, I think my friend Christina would be good for it. So I ran in super last minute and did this audition and ended up booking this part. And a few months later, got an email that I thought was some jerk friend making fun of me that says, Hi, I'm a casting associate from Warner Brothers. A Hollywood director has seen your hummus commercial and would like you to audition for an untitled Warner Brothers project. Please send us a video of you doing the attached sides, which sounds so much like it just would never happen. But I sent in the audition tape, and since I didn't know what I was auditioning for, I sent in 4 or 5 different takes that were all just different kinds of tone. And they wrote back and said, hey, would you audition for this military officer instead? And again, at the time, it was just a handful of lines, and I was trying to figure out, is this an alien movie? Is this a political movie? I just couldn't quite figure out what it was. So I sent in a handful of options again, and got a phone call a week or so later saying, well, the producers are reviewing your tape. They want you. Are you available these dates? And I sort of laughed, but I just said, can I know what this movie is that I'm auditioning for? And the casting director laughed, and she said, yeah, but you can't tell anybody. It's the new Superman. And it took everything in me not to just like freak out and start crying on the phone, because I was a huge Superman fan as a kid growing up. My brother and I were just obsessed with the Christopher Reeve films and would run around the yard with towels safety pinned to our shirts. And my mom made my brother a full body Superman costume. Like, it was such a big part of our childhood. And it was just quite a literal dream come true. So.
That's great. I mean, of course, you being a Superman fan as well. It's funny the way you were saying how it all came from an email which you thought wasn't genuine. I've had that feeling before with some of my podcast interviews. Like, we actually last year, and I'm not even joking with this, we got offered an interview with one of the stars of the last Hobbit movie, and I was just like, is this spam? Should I even open the email? Because the heading of the email was simply The Hobbit movie, and I was like, is that spam?
Yeah.
I'll just click on it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? My third question is, you're one of the few people who can say they've called Superman hot on screen. How does it feel knowing this, and what did you think when you read that scene in the script?
I am so lucky that they wrote that line in for me. That's really what makes my character memorable. To get the funny line at the end of the movie is such a treat to offer an actor. And the first time I met Zach, I had just gotten cast in the role, and I had to sign my contract and get my pages and things. And it's all, it's very protected. Sign NDAs and everything anytime you're given any material from the show. And so Zach showed up, and he's so great. He's just got great energy, and he said, oh, we just wrote this new line for you. It's going to be great. You're going to have fun with it. And I didn't know what it was, and I looked at the pages, and of course I thought, this is amazing. It's hilarious. But I was also stressed because I thought, if I don't nail it, if it's not funny, what if people don't laugh? Then it's the worst. So the first time I saw the film in the kind of cast and crew screening, I was so relieved when everyone laughed. And I saw it in the theater a few times with some friends as well. And every time I was just thinking, oh, thank God that everyone laughed. Because if you get one of maybe 2 laugh lines in a movie, you really want to make sure it works, So.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a risk with something like that, isn't it? It either pays off or it doesn't, but if it doesn't pay off, people will remember it. I mean, obviously, there's some people out there who will not like it anyway, but the fact that I got a good laugh from the screening you went to is a testament that was pretty funny in the end.
Yeah, and people always come up to me and say they're like, I was so glad someone finally said it. I was thinking it the whole movie. Once Rita saw the girl sitting next to me, the whole film was just going, oh yes, oh yeah, oh he's perfect, oh yes. So I think it's just kind of stating the obvious,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those examples where you're always thinking something and then you're relieved when someone actually says it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've had those moments watching movies and TV shows where I'm just like thinking to myself, oh, come on, to this character, say something like that. have it pictured what they're going to say, and then they say, and I'm like, finally someone says it.
Someone said it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and as you said, I mean, whether for a good reason or not, though, it does sound like mostly good, of course. You know, people are going to remember your character from Man of Steel for, you know, that iconic scene. And as I said, whether they like it or not, they're going to remember it, so that's something to take away from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was happy
Yeah,
about it.
definitely, I can imagine so. My fourth question is, we know you can't talk much about Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, but how did it feel to reprise the role of Carrie Ferris? Did you know when casting Man of Steel that you would be asked to play the role again?
No, I didn't. I was excited that I didn't die in the end. You know, most of the other actors I worked with sadly got killed in Man of Steel. So I was relieved that I was alive, but I didn't know if I would come back or not. Because again, it's a pretty small part. So um, they could decide to use me or not. So I was incredibly happy when I found out that I was coming back. And yeah, it's also such a wonderful group of people to work with. They've got such a lovely crew, and it's just a kind of a family vibe on set. So that also, I was just so excited to get to work with everyone again and share in that experience.
Definitely, that's great. My final question is, do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
Sure, sure. I mean, something that I spend a lot of my time on is my own production company. So I write and produce and then also act in a lot of original content. And right now, we're gearing up to release our first sci-fi show, which I'm excited about, called Lusa. So in a week, that will start to go live. So we're gearing up for that, and you know, from the work that I do, we're really trying to take advantage of what's going on in the web space and figure out how to utilize kind of the incredible resource that is the internet to bring more narrative content out there as well. So there's obviously Netflix and Hulu and Crackle, which are doing amazing, amazing things. And then there's a group of more indie artists who are out there trying to go, okay, how can we best use this incredible resource and get our work out to audiences? So that's kind of my new and exciting thing. So if next Tuesday you want to check out, not this coming one, but a week from, my YouTube site, Two Kids with a Camera, will have the beginnings of our sci-fi series Lusa, which I'm excited to see what people think
Very
about.
nice. That sounds very interesting. So I'll be sure to keep an eye out for that. So thank you very
Thanks.
much, Christina, for answering all of my questions. I'll let my co-host Maureen ask hers now.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. So jumping straight into my questions, you just mentioned there that you own your own production company, which is awesome. So having worked behind the scenes in writing and producing, has that kind of changed the way you behave on set as an actor? Are you more aware of what's going on and you're kind of doing what you can in your performance space to aid the crew around you?
Absolutely. It is such an asset for me as an actor to know how those things work. I think a lot of it is about knowing your role, you know, knowing for me both technically and within the writing sort of what my position is. So every character serves a specific purpose in a script, and I think as actors, especially as actors who are still starting out and building our career, there's a tendency to want to turn every moment into our Academy Award winning performance, or you know, just to kind of take things maybe out of context or do things that are way too big for the scenario. So I think knowing, okay, my role serves this purpose and I want to do that to the best of my abilities, but also honor where this character is written and supposed to be. And then definitely technically, I mean, I think knowing, you know, just basic things about where your lighting is and how to be consistent in your work, and understanding all the moving parts around you, as well as a big thing for actors is, you know, our whole job in life is to be sensitive. We have to react off of the energy and the behaviors of the other people around us. But I think that the downside of that is that sometimes on a set, if something seems to be going wrong, or if someone needs to, do a second take, or certain actors can get a little bit sensitive, and to be able to know, oh, I see that they weren't able to pull focus right, or there was a thing in the set in the background that, wasn't the way someone wanted it. This isn't about me. And then to know the moments when when it is about me, and be able to tell the difference and utilize that information is incredibly useful, and it helps me just play more freely, and to go, okay, the camera's here, and what they're trying to get is this, and so I can do these things within this space, and I can give my fellow actor this type of gift, and they can react off of that because this is their big moment, and it does make it, for me, a lot more fun to just get to play.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you there. I'd say you're especially aware of timekeeping as well, having produced things as well.
Yeah,
It was like, no, I want one more take. That didn't go as what I planned. But no, we're 30 minutes behind schedule. We can't. So.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I would just never call cut on myself or ask for too much more unless it was such a desperate situation. I mean, I think that that's a big part of it, is recognizing it's a tight schedule, everything's on a tight budget. Know what you're doing, know it well, get in and get out. That's a big thing for sure.
That's awesome. I kind of feel the same way as well, because I have done some extra stuff in my own course helping people out, and we're kind of more aware of what's going on and how come things are taking so long, and we ask less questions in that way.
Yeah.
So my second question is there any actor or director, writer, producer, someone in the industry that you would love to work with, and why?
There's so many. I think that my two biggest interests are being in sci-fi kind of action movies, but I would love to be the heroine, so that world and that genre. But the other thing that I'm really interested in, and sort of my big project that I'm working on as a writer right now, is a sitcom pilot. And so I would love to work with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and these women who are just nailing it in the comedy world and in the television world. I think it would be incredible to get to be mentored by women who are so powerful and just so honest and free and smart, and growing at such an incredible rate as well. So I think specific names right now, I would probably say Tina Fey and Amy Poehler would be awesome to work with.
So, like, if Mean Girls was ever, rebooted, you'd be in on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the two of them are great. They're fantastically funny as well.
Yeah. And it's hard to be funny. I mean, I think that that we can really think that drama is hard and requires so much, and it does. I guess for me, the drama is what comes more naturally. So and I love doing it. I love to go deep with a character and go on an emotional journey. Comedy has always been the thing that intimidates me. So when people nail it, I just am in awe of them. And something I love Parks and Rec, and Amy Poehler in that show is so awesome to me because she gets the funny, and she can be funny, but then in the moments where she needs to go deep, she does it in such a lovely way. I don't think a sitcom has ever made me tear up before, but there are moments in that show where I end up feeling so emotionally invested because she is so emotionally invested in her work and in her character. And I think that's just awesome to be able to see someone who clearly has that range and might not always be recognized for the depth of skill that is there, but it's just awesome.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you were saying about how dramatic acting comes so easily to you, because I find it quite the opposite. I find it easier to slip into a comedic character, and it's much harder to get dramatic.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I haven't seen much of Parks and Rec, but my sister watches it, and I'd sit down with her sometimes, and just the level of acting in that show is fantastic.
It is.
Yeah. So my third question, I saw on your IMDb profile that you had an interest in musical theatre, and that before you majored in film. And what kind of inspired you to make the switch from theatre to film? And do you have a favorite musical?
Yeah, I grew up doing musicals my whole life. I think that's a really easy way that kids get into theater, and I started as a musical theater major in college, and I loved it, and I still love it. And I would love to do musicals again. I think that the big shift for me happened because my strength was always and my passion was really always with acting first, and then with singing, and then with dance, and I found that the more that I got into doing even just student films and some smaller projects, I felt more at home in that environment than I did in the musical theater world. And so it just sort of organically happened that as I went through college and as I grew, I just kept doing more and more work in either straight theater or film, and really fell in love with the medium, with the intimacy of it, with the ability to focus so much on the moment that the character is in. That when you're doing a play or a musical, the amazing joy and challenge of it is to go on a long journey in a 2-hour period and do it repeat it over and over and over again, which is, it takes incredible discipline, and the actors who are doing that night and after night after night are just incredibly inspiring to me. And I think that in film and TV, you get to take that you take a different journey every day, and that is very attractive to me, to build a character over time, and rather than repeat the same set of experiences, you take a different journey in every scene, and I like that. But I still love theater, and I love musical theater as well. I think I just ended up building more in one direction than the other.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's exactly kind of what happened to me. I got involved in musical theatre, but I went into film, and now I'm actually doing a musical show on Thursday just with a society.
Oh,
or
nice.
Tuesday. So
Yeah,
so do you have a favorite musical, or can you pick?
Yeah, I love Children of Eden. That might be my favorite musical. I love a lot of shows, but there's something about that one that has always stuck with me, and I can't decide if it's just because of how it first came into my life or not, but I would love to play Yona one day. I think it's just a beautiful piece and a beautiful role. But I love so many. I did Into the Woods in high school, and so it was so fun over the holiday break this year. A bunch of my friends all got together and we went and saw the movie, and it's super sentimental, and I loved Urinetown when that was out. So many things. It is hard to pick, but I think Children of Eden might be top of my list.
Did you have a part in Into the Woods, like a singing part? Who did you play?
I was Cinderella. So a princess.
It's a nice part.
It was fun. I actually got into college singing I Know Things Now, which is Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. That song's kind of been stuck in my head for a while as well. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so that's it for all my questions. I'm going to hand you over to my co-host Al. Thank you very much for answering them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Christina. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show. I just got a few questions. I believe earlier.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's fine. Earlier you said Superman was you're such a huge fan of Superman when you were younger. My first question is, are you a fan of comics at all? Do you read any?
I am. I don't read them religiously, but I do really enjoy them. The one I most recently have, my dad got me the Blackest Night Green Lantern one that I'm excited to check out. So that's my newest one.
Oh, that's great, because in the chat room, there's some speculation that you're gonna play someone from Green Lantern comics. I don't know if that rumor's been circulated.
I've heard the rumor. Yeah, I think that's why my dad even snatched this for me. There's some cool Star Sapphire moments in this comic book. Again, it's all speculation, but it's fun. It's fun to think about.
Yeah, that is really fun to think about. Hopefully, you would play that part. I think
That'd be great.
Second question is, how do you think the sort of other superheroes appearing in the, like for instance, like Batman appearing in the new Batman Superman movie, how do you think that would have an effect on that universe, in your personal opinion?
Oh, it's just awesome. I mean, the really cool thing about what they're doing as far as building this whole particular universe kind of from scratch is that it all flows together so well, and it's just so cool and so fun. I mean, the neat thing about these characters is that most people know all of them already. Even if you're not a super fan, you recognize them, and they, have a history in our pop culture, and it's just fun to get them all in the same room, in the same world. I mean, I think that even for me, I just freaked out watching the trailer that was released yesterday. I was like a kid. I was literally like jumping up and down and squealing because it's just so fun to see Batman and Superman together. And I think it's just going to continue to grow as they bring all these new characters in.
Yeah, I think I've seen the trailer like 101 times already. So.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, just following on for that last question. How does it feel to be involved in all this, in this whole film franchise and everything?
I mean, honestly, it's pretty unreal. It's one of the more amazing things that's ever happened to me in my life, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and I still have moments where I really kind of have to pinch myself and go, how did I get to be a part of such a significant thing? I think it just means so much to so many people. These characters, again, are such a part of our history, and they, as the comics and as the stories have transformed over time, they've really been a mirror of where we are as a society, and kind of always offer a bit of a beacon of hope. I mean, I think I always loved superhero movies growing up, and I still do, and I think it's because there's also it's obviously fun and amazing to watch these heightened scenarios and kind of the world in its most extreme places, but I do think that we all want to believe that there are heroes out there, and that maybe, and every superhero represents a different kind of hero, which is why it's neat to see them all coming together in one world. I think some people feel like a complete outcast and an outsider and maybe almost like an alien, but they have special gifts and they want to share those with the world. And I think that that's Superman, is this kind of this otherworldly being that is trying to do his best to be a leader and be the best, person and man he can be, despite the loneliness and maybe odds that feel like are stacked against him. I think that Batman tends to be the character that, I know my brother would always talk about loving Batman because he felt like that's a character that he could be, since Batman wasn't born with superpowers. He was a man and then saw a need in his community and was able to kind of find his strongest parts and defend his community around him, and I think that every character represents something like that, and so we simultaneously see parts of ourselves and go, wow, I hope that I would rise to the circumstances around me if I was asked to do something brave. And also when we're feeling weak, we go, I hope there's someone out there who is extra strong or extra brave or extra honorable, who will make sure everything ends up okay. So I think that that's partly why they're so significant, and yeah, why it feels amazing to be a part of something that does mean so much to so many people.
I think you literally hit the nail on the head because I might sound like a broken record to Rory when I say Superman is my favorite superhero. Like,
Broken record. But that was a very fake yawn. I apologize for that. I'm not even sure it sounded like a yawn.
Yeah, but with Superman and Batman, they're both very iconic characters, and you know they're very much archetypes. Like you mentioned, you know everyone's got their own unique talents and you know hope to bring something to the world, hope to share it, and you know Superman is the ultimate representation of that. And you know you just hit the hammer on the nail for that. That was really great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad we share a fellow love for Superman.
Yeah,
it will be a bigger yawn in a minute. Wait for it. I'm just kidding. I've already won the worst fake yawn competition. I don't want to win it again.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Oh, well, thank you. They're great questions.
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate
we
it.
also have a couple of questions from some of our followers. Christina, first of all, Eric Curto asks, will they explore your character further in another hero's film, Batman vs Superman, or a team-up film? Actually, that one's Batman vs Superman. And will we ever see your character's alter ego, obviously referring to Star Sapphire?
I don't know the answer if we'll ever see Star Sapphire. That has not, been brought up with me at all. I just know kind of the gossip and know the history of the character. It would be very cool, but there's nothing formal about that. And could you ask the first part again? I think my signal's breaking up a little bit.
Okay, no worries. Hello, you there now?
Hello, I'm here. Yeah. What was the first part of that question?
It was, will they explore your character further in another hero or team-up film? At which I said Batman vs Superman.
Got it. Again, yeah, I don't know how they're planning to further explore my character. I think I'm just excited that they're keeping me around, so I'll take it while they have a place for me.
Yeah, that sounds great. And we also have a question from one of our live listeners, Derek. He says, what DC Universe character in the Warner Brothers animation DC Universe would you love to voice under Andrea Romano, and would it be a hero or a villain?
Ooh, what a cool question. I've never thought about that. Oh, I mean, playing the voice of a villain would probably be really fun because you would get to do so many different things. They usually have very characterized voices, so that could be awesome. I'm not trying to think of I don't know if I have a specific villain off the top of my head, but I think playing the voice of a villain would be really fun.
The villains are always the coolest characters to play or voice, really. I mean, because they're just, they're terrible and you're meant to, dislike them, so, yeah.
You could do anything.
Yeah, exactly. You could do anything. You could just be someone who isn't to you, I think that's what some actors find the most interesting thing about playing or voicing villains is you get to explore someone that you're not, if you know what I mean, because, very rarely, of course, in fact, I don't think there is any examples where an actor is good at a villain because they're a bad person,
Right. You're getting to explore something so different than yourself, which again, like you're saying, you're absolutely right. As actors, that's what we dream of doing is playing something so different than ourselves, which is a villain voice. I'm on board.
That's great. So that's all of our questions for you today, Christina. It's been a pleasure talking to you on the podcast.
Well, thanks so much. The pleasure is mine, guys. This is
Thank
a
you
great
so
podcast.
much, and hopefully we can talk to you again at some point.
That'd be great. Best
Thank
of luck to
you.
you
We'll
all.
talk to you again soon then. Bye. So make sure to check out our YouTube channels. The podcast is www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Sepidus Maureen's is www.youtube.com/user/Lizzie11. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com